sometimes we come to a place to where there's maybe a blockage
Yeah.
in what you're trying to do. And in sometimes, the idea is, like, how do I keep going, or do I stop?
Yeah. Hey everyone, it's Monday.
What's up? Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. It is a happy Monday.
It is. And I'm glad you turned on that timer.
I turned on the timer. Because we, my friend, are just like the Thanksgiving turkey. If it goes too long, it's just dry.
Yeah, we need
It's
to
not good.
make this
It's crusty.
A little shorter.
Mm-hmm.
But and also when I don't have the timer, I noticed that when we're filming this, that when we don't have the timer, I start to I feel like I'm, interrupting, or I don't know. It just feels like I'm intruding, or
Like the people or me?
like I'm like, I don't, I want to be like, I can't think of the word right now, but just kind of like considerate. That's it. Considerate of other people's time, and I don't want to be on and on and on and on. So that's why I'm like, all right, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And speaking of that,
Wait.
hey, okay, what? Do you have to say something?
Yeah, I do, because I feel like I've just now learned something in our marriage.
Okay.
This is great. Now I realize that when we start talking, all I have to do is hit the timer and walk around with it like this.
Yeah.
And you won't feel
right.
weird. You won't feel like you're intruding.
I feel like I can get,
Yes. And your mark is set, go.
go.
So what were you going to say?
No.
You did this and
No, I know, because, with you and I, we're people that are very honest, and don't you think?
I do think.
Okay.
Yes.
And basically very transparent and in some way. And so what I'm saying is that you're not getting the first morning laugh
You're
of
not
this
getting-
morning.
we already
It's
laughed.
the second one.
We already laughed without you. We already did this without you.
And it's been kind of a little bit of a frustration, honestly, to do this. But you know what? When we were setting up, we've discovered a new way of filming, which I think this is going to be better. And, what crossed my mind was like, sometimes you got to come up to those obstacles to figure out the better solution.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
Yes. And so what we've done, she's about to tell you, is we've hired 2 different people to play us. And it's gonna be a whole lot easier that way.
Yeah.
We just click on the lights. They come in. They do the show. They eat breakfast and clean up after they leave.
Yeah.
And they laugh a whole lot more.
Right. So it's always better the second time, maybe. I don't know.
But really though, sometimes there is a. Sometimes we come to a place to where there's maybe a blockage.
Yeah.
In what you're trying to do, and in sometimes the idea is, like, how do I keep going, or do I stop?
Yeah.
Right. Not that I mean, like I've committed for a certain time period with this, and we wouldn't stop anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like being able to remove. I think we've called it friction or resistance or blockage, so that things become easier.
Obstacles. Yeah.
Obstacles. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And sometimes when I feel like things aren't going exactly like what I had planned or whatever, I get mad and I get frustrated. But I think a lot of times it's because I'm still holding on to that picture or that thing that I don't, that's why I'm getting frustrated. Whereas when I say, you know what, I'm going to let go and let this flow and see where it takes us, because I know that I have certain desires. And so like when I was feeling that last week, I'm like, this is just not working right. Or, it's like, there has to be another solution to whatever. With us, we're like, right now we're trying to figure out our editing stuff. And anyway, all that technical stuff that I don't like and he doesn't like either. But we finally figured it out though, I think.
We did.
Maybe.
It feels good to figure things out. So I heard this morning as our studio audience gathered in just before our second filming of the second laugh of Monday.
Yes.
I heard one of our children say something I probably heard at least 24 times from him. Ephraim. So let's talk about
Halloween.
Halloween, right? This is our son. Now, for a long time, our background basically had us to where we didn't really do the whole dress up thing or celebrate
Trick-or-treating or anything.
because it was celebrating the devil's birthday.
Even though Donnie and I did as kids.
Oh yeah, as
trick
kids
or
we
treat.
did.
You know, we grew up trick or treating, but we took that out of our kids' lives for a time.
For a while.
And then we're like, let's do it. I want to make memories like this.
And so one of there are a couple of our kids that really, really delight in becoming someone different, right? Dressing up and doing those things. And so here he is, and he's like, let's talk about Halloween. What is the deal that this guy's getting at?
What do you mean the deal?
I don't know.
He likes to talk about it because he's an entertainer. Like he likes to entertain and make people laugh, and he's very creative. He's our artistic child, and so he really jumps into this whole like costume thing, and unlike me.
No. You've had to have done something creative.
He's like Donnie.
Okay. So as a kid, Halloween. Did you ever have a good one? Did you ever do something really cool?
No, I don't think so. I only remember a cat. I think one time I felt proud to be a cat. I had a black leotard and my mom painted my nose, and I had this like tail that she made, and
oh Lord.
Yeah. No.
Proud to
I
be
wasn't
a cat.
anything in my life that I could say I was proud to.
I've never been proud to be anything in my whole life. That's
Yeah,
what you just said.
I don't know. I just never really got totally. Anyway.
Did you? Was it?
I mean, there were. Okay, you know what? There were times that I felt like, oh, I would love to do that, but then I'm like, no, it's just too hard to figure out, and I'm not going to do it.
And so you stop.
So I'll just be, homeless man or something.
So
and wear my dad's suit.
So your pinnacle,
along with his underwear.
Oh gosh, right? Yeah.
If you haven't seen that episode, I think I talk about me borrowing my dad's underwear.
Yes. Yeah.
Boxer shorts.
She still does that.
Not as tidy whities.
I catch her in my tidy whities all the time. I don't know what it is. But
what?
Nothing. I was just thinking about the time that you. Never mind. There was a joke, but I'm not going to tell it. So anyway, moving along.
What? So I'm curious as to what he's saying, but you're going to have to tell me later.
Or maybe it will be in the hidden archives of this episode somewhere. So
I don't know.
But it made me think of some of the best things. So as a kid, did you ever do like the thing where you would trick or treat 3 or 4 times in the same neighborhood?
No, but I just remembered something.
What do you remember? My
favorite time and maybe it wasn't Halloween, but it was at school back then in the 70s, late 70s. They had a parade. I don't know if they still do that in these elementary schools here, but they had a costume parade.
Yes.
And so you go to the different classes and you show everyone the older kids.
Is this when you were the cat?
Something.
Were you the cat?
I think I was, but then also, okay.
Did you lead the parade?
I got confused because it was a school carnival that I was thinking.
Okay, and then they had those too.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm being nostalgic.
Mine was when my mom made me into a bunch
of grapes.
Yeah, a bunch of grapes. She bought me all these purple balloons. I chose to be the sweet grapes, not the sour grapes.
The sweet red ones?
The sweet red.
Or purple. Mm-hmm.
And,
Fruit of the Loom,
And I was in middle school.
That's what I'm picturing you looking like.
And back then, though, it was almost like middle school is like, oh, you're too grown to be in a costume. Whereas now, I think it's like more of a cool thing. To do. So we will see. We will see. What's on the news? What's happening that's fun and funny and different? Have you seen this stuff in Chile?
Well, I wasn't. Oh, yeah. That's my birthplace.
This
Chile.
is your home country.
And Donnie was showing me the other day. He's like, "Did you see that? What's happening in Chile?" And I was like, "No." And anyway, it's become crazy. So I've been reading my cousin's like little comments he's making, and apparently like they're just losing control with this whole thing. Like they're just happening with what? I think it's still recording.
Oh, okay. It's not showing.
It's still recording.
Okay, cool. Why'd the screen come up?
I think, right? Look. What is that?
It's recording.
Okay.
Right. That was weird.
Yeah, well, I'll be editing.
So tell me,
that part.
so your cousin.
Yeah, he's he's with this Chilean thing that's happening, these riots because of the fare, the prices of transportation, public transportation have skyrocketed, and people are just so mad. A lot of the people that are doing this rioting, though, are the younger people, and they're just destroying like buildings, and apparently they've destroyed 60 Walmarts around the area, and so Walmart is closing their stores there.
What did Walmart
it's just
do
becoming
to anyone?
I don't know. They're just becoming I don't know. It's really sad and
Interesting.
And I don't know.
Your
I haven't
people.
really...
Your people. So, anything that's halfway funny or fun that's in the news?
Yeah, I was thinking, but I had something planned, but I'm gonna share this other thing, which isn't really funny or fun, but it was very touching. And you saw the video about that school coach, high school coach that actually stopped a kid that was coming in with his loaded gun to shoot up the school. And this happened back in May, and the coach saw his face, and he saw the gun, and he somehow talked the kid to give him the gun.
He snatched the gun first,
He snatched
actually.
the gun. And I'm sure you've probably seen this in the news, but this is my first time of seeing it, so I don't know. But snatched the gun, and then he gave it to some other guy, because I watched the video.
Yeah.
And then the coach just embraced him, and gosh, me thinking about it right now, I'm like, touching.
Yeah.
So it's not really a laugh, funny,
it's warm,
but
though.
it's just very touching that, I don't know. I just hope the young man gets the help he needs, which apparently that's what he's doing. He's getting some mental health help.
I loved just hearing the coach and just seeing like this darkness in this person's eyes, and knowing that it's not just what he's about to do, but it's also where this person is at. And he reached out, he saw that, he connected to it, and the embrace. Yeah. The embrace, and he said, I just wanted to let him know that you're here for a purpose, and that I'm here for a purpose, and I just want to be with you, what you're going through. And I felt like that was beautiful.
So touching.
Yeah, beautiful story. Thank you for sharing.
I can get choked up. But anyway, I could talk about the passenger that was banned from Royal Caribbean Cruise Line.
Well, this isn't my job, but I saw something that was even cooler.
Okay.
It was, well, not cooler. So
funnier?
Oh, I think it was Lady Gaga.
Okay.
And I don't know her except for I did like her in the movie.
I like that
with
movie.
The movie with let's sing it.
Bradley Cooper.
In the shed. Oh, you're supposed to sing with me.
I am?
Yeah, it's okay. We'll save that for another show. I just love that song too. Like in the movie, the song. But anyway, so she was doing a concert.
Yeah.
And she invites just like some dude in the crowd to like come up on stage, and he's dancing.
Awesome.
He's dancing like I'm doing. Yeah, how awesome! And then she runs up to him, and then she jumps onto him, and she's like singing from him, and it takes like.
Wait, she straddles him?
She straddles him,
Oh
and his knees buckle. He looks like a rag doll, and he falls into the audience, and on top of her, it probably hurt her, and so.
Wait, he falls into the audience with her on it?
Like
with her on
listen,
him? Listen,
all men know. Like, this is great what we see in the movies where you're holding a woman and carrying her to wherever. But sometimes, like, this is a grown human. Yeah. And I don't know how much he weighs. But his knees buckled, and he just looked like...
well, he wasn't expecting it.
No, he wasn't expecting it. And
That's
so
weird.
she jumps up, and she's like, hey, it's okay. It's not his fault. That was my fault. And she's like, everyone go easy on the guy. And, so she was like trying to make sure no one got mad at him. And she took the blame, which was kind of cool. And then they got up and they sang, in the shed, la, 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 lo.
It reminded me of the when Bachelorette, for some reason, I think they must tell him, they're like, run up and straddle him. In the Bachelorette show, the girls always run up and then they jump on their guy. I know. And she does that with all the guys.
Okay.
Anyway, it just reminded me of that. I'm waiting to see one day when another season comes on, the guy falls down with the girl.
All right, listen.
But they'll probably edit that out.
ABC, CBS, whoever it is, that Fox, I don't know who runs The Bachelor. if you happen to pick up our show, if you could drop the that would be my contingency. Like, drop the Bachelor, Bachelorette thing.
All right, moving on. We're not going to talk about that.
Moving on. So, I wouldn't want to threaten your future entertainment.
Yes, please.
But, so one of the things that I've been thinking about as we're watching our children create and go through the creative process of what they're doing with, with dressing up for Halloween, is I think about like the idea that we were all made to create, and how actually most of us forgot how to play.
Yeah.
Right, when we grow up, and we lost a valuable part of that, which is imagination. And imagination was given up, and play was given up because we said, even if I wanted to create something, I can't.
Okay.
And I look at, usually if you want to find people who aren't creating, because we're all, listen, as a part of being in God's image, we are made to create. But I see people who are frustrated, angry, bitter, blaming. And the reason why they're living here a lot of times is they're not doing what kids do.
Right. Because they think, right. Kids are on constantly imagining and creating and pretending. And there's a time in our lives that we stop that and we're like, okay, enough child's play. But I think that life and things actually become real when you start. Don't lose that imagination and continue to create. Like, I've been applying those skills I'm going to say probably 4 years. It was like around the time right before we started traveling. For us, it was one of those imaginations, like thinking like, what if, like, why not? Like, let's just go and do this. And our story, if you've followed us, but, the same thing with any little thing that you want to do.
Well,
don't you think?
Oh,
and I think we bottle it up inside, and that's why we're frustrated and blaming others.
Yeah, and so the one thing is like it starts, I think, with imagination, and I believe that imagination is actually God's permission.
Yeah.
Your imagination is God's permission. So if you can imagine it, you're supposed to be able to to do it.
Yeah.
But we stop. Because let's just say, like, can you imagine the person that invented like air conditioning or like, so imagination goes into inventions. It goes into every creative thing, every artsy thing. We've talked about YouTube.
Yeah.
Like do you remember what we were saying? Like, we love YouTube. I think
YouTube, has opened up so much creativity in the world for a lot of people. Like, there's like people creating slime, people doing pictures, people sharing their knowledge and information, people doing how-to videos, like how to do the plumbing, how to build a house. Like, you can literally find all of this out on YouTube. And it's a great place for people, because I just love it, because just regular people are coming on and sharing amazing information.
Yeah. And whatever's inside, they're able to put out there.
Yeah, it's really neat. But I wanted to ask you a question. Do you think we are co-creators with God?
I 100% believe that. You just teed me up. Of course I do. Yeah. I think that,
So do you think that some people might be hesitant to say, I'm not a creator? I can't, I have to do whatever God's telling me, but isn't that part of co-creating?
Well, so in religious terms, a lot of us, we wait for God to do something, or we think that's up to Him. And then for others of us, let's just say those of us, the people that might not have as strong of a belief or thought, of God in their lives, like in that world, we separate people into creatives and into doers. And we think that like those are different things.
Yeah.
But you can create systems, you can create businesses, you can create art, you can create music, you can create. The question is what do you see yourself? I don't know, doing it. I guess, like, honey, if I were to say, like, if for the people who say, well, I'm not creative, I don't know. It's like, well, find a feeling that you would like someone else to feel. You probably know a way that you can help them to do that. So some people cook, and they make people feel amazing, right? With the food that they create. Some people, through art, through through creating a nice home, through whatever. My question to you is, though, is when we look at that and we often aren't doing anything with that, it's because we think I can't do all of that right now.
Right.
What do you, like, give me...
Like, because because we feel that we're limited, right? You said that we don't have the ability or whatever, right? We don't have the skill, or we're making excuses, but I think that when we realize that, here's the thing, I believe that God wants us to create, and when we are not using those gifts within us, or that's why I'm saying, do you believe that we're co-creators? And the only way that he's going to spread his goodness is that if we start creating whatever is in us, the feelings that we're feeling. Like you're saying, okay, start with that feeling. So what is it? Like, I can't tell you exactly what you should be creating here on earth, but I know what I'm supposed to be doing. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. But sometimes we limit ourselves, we're afraid, or we make excuses, and we say we don't have money, or we don't have time, or whatever. But if you just take all of that off and say, you know what, this doesn't really matter right now. I'm just going to look at what can I do right now, and start there, the little things. So whatever that little thing is, you start with.
I think that creativity is where heaven meets earth. Mm-hmm. I think it's where we bring heaven onto earth. Yeah. And a lot of times things that have never existed before. And if we keep our magic and creativity bottled up, it not only hurts us because we're frustrated, it hurts everyone around us.
Right, it does.
Who
because they could benefit from your gift. Mm-hmm. Because of what you have to give them.
So here's the tip of that. Like, imagine... And we're speaking to people who, if you're like us, maybe you are paralyzed a little bit in that. You haven't moved it and exercised this in a while. Well, if you can just start by wiggling that little bitty finger, right? Pretty soon you'll be wiggling all your fingers, and your whole hand, and then your arm, and pretty soon you're going to be mobile and fully functional. But start small.
Yeah.
I remember when you wanted to have a beautiful home and money wasn't super abundant, you, instead of saying, I can't do all of these things and furniture and all of those, you just got a simple bouquet of flowers. Yeah. And you started with something very small.
Right. And then also the other thing I wanted to say was the exercising, the running. Probably a few months ago, and then we'll have to go, but a few months ago, I was struggling keeping up because I hadn't been running. And so I started just saying, for a minute, can I run for 1 minute? For 1 minute, that's all I have to do. And I said, yeah, I could do that. All right, so I'm doing it. I set my timer and I go. I stop it and I ask myself, while I'm still running, could I go another minute? I set my timer again. And now I'm literally running my whole 2 miles.
There you go.
And I started off with a little, and I still do the 1 minute thing because sometimes I don't feel like doing it, and I tell myself I can do it for a minute. So
start with what you got. Listen, if you want to erase any frustration, depression, anger, resentment, those type of things, find a way for you to go out there and release your creativity. Start small. Yeah. Ready for the joke?
Yeah. I think.
Here it is.
I don't know.
So we were out yesterday, and I almost got caught stealing a board game from the store. Hey, listen.
That's not something that you should be doing.
I felt like it was a risk worth taking.
Oh my gosh, no. Why risk? You didn't take Life or Monopoly.
Because it worked into the joke.
Okay, I know.
So listen,
I know
we went longer.
To say another joke.
But hopefully this one helps you. I know this is a little bit more serious with the creativity and those things. Yes. But it really is important. It really is important, and it doesn't matter if anyone responds. This is for you, just like us doing this show. We're not doing this for money, wealth, fame.
We're not. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
None of those things. We're doing it because it's fun for us. Hopefully, you've enjoyed a little bit of that fun as well.
And we gotta go. We got kids to teach and jobs to work.
Works to do.
Works to do.
Gotta go to work.